I say this a lot, and I like repeating it because it shows to you that I feel I'm a reasonable man. And I understand I'm not a perfect man. I had Peter King on this show yesterday. I said, Peter, I'm wondering if owners of football teams this year might be less apt to be rash in firing a coach midseason because A, there's COVID, B, there's no fans in the stands for people to boo and vote with their feet. That might raise the temperature that normally raises the temperature, and thus no fans in the stands. You're not worried about fans not showing up. And it doesn't create a situation like a boiling pot with a lid on top of it that frequently leads to an in-season coaching change. I thought that was a keen take, a sharp take.
I kind of agreed, too.
I thought that was a take you don't hear anywhere else.
Yep.
And normally those in this business, those takes are hot. This one I thought was smart and keen and observant, if I may say so. 3 words that I try to teach my children, which is why, again, best dad ever. Now, what would you say, just doing the math in my head, that's 4 months running, coming up. The 4-month anniversary of winning this prestigious award. Boy, was I wrong. I mean, was I wrong? Because, one, the Texans did have fans in the stands against the Minnesota Vikings. And those fans did vote with their feet, apparently, because I read up in the Houston Chronicle, whose chronicler, John McClain, will join us in about 15 minutes' time to talk about all this. Those fans apparently did vote with their feet when they fell behind the Minnesota Vikings by a couple scores. And the owner of the Texans apparently did see that, did observe all of that I said was not going to be a factor in making a decision that the Houston Texans owner did in fact take. Oops. All on the same day. But hey, there's many other owners of 0-4 teams that have yet to swing the axe, and maybe that does happen. I don't know, but it does appear that there was a power struggle in Houston between a gent named Jack Easterby that was brought in to evaluate the organization that did lead to Brian Gaines, the general manager of the Houston Texans a couple years ago, getting the gate. Bill OBrien took his spot. And that is, to me, why Bill OBrien got the gate yesterday, because the guy who bounced the general manager, leading to Bill OBrien filling the void with his own power to become the rare dual threat in the NFL of coach and general manager, grocery shopper and grocery distributor, and an employer, cooking the meals, shopping the groceries, cooking the meals. Not many do that in the NFL. And unfortunately for Bill, the guy whose coaching tree he's on, who eventually did replace the guy complaining that he could not shop for the groceries and cook in New England, in Bill Belichick, once removed from Parcells with Pete Carroll in between. Belichick does do both in New England, and it's been working out for him. Not so much for Bill OBrien, who did have this to say on a quick Zoom that was put together after his shocking dismissal.
I'm sorry that we couldn't get this team over the hump. We couldn't get it over the hump last year, the year before, but and obviously early on this year, but it wasn't from lack of effort. We did win 4 division championships here that we're very proud of. Won 4 division championships in 6 years. So we did a lot of good things here, but we didn't do enough. We didn't bring a Super Bowl to Houston, which I believe eventually someone will. I think this is a championship team that needs to get things turned around right now, but I believe in this team.
Well, the issue is, again, we could sit here and go way back and say, well, he's the one who wanted Brock Osweiler without actually meeting with him as a free agent, and then decided to make the smart maneuver, be part of the team, make the smart maneuver to trade up and take Deshaun Watson, but decided to start Tom Savage instead,
For a half.
needing only one half of first week football to make the proper decision to turn things over to Deshaun Watson. And there are so many play calls that we can go back and forth on. But I do believe the reason why Bill OBrien lost his gig yesterday is because of Bill OBrien, the general manager. And we'll see if John McClain agrees. And in case anybody wants to play some of these greatest hits, we'll just roll through them. Trading away Jadeveon Clowney for a third-round pick and Barkevious Mingo and Jacob Martin just on the eve of a playing season. Trading away a former first overall selection who did stay on the free agent market a long time this non-playing season, but was a hotly sought commodity to the point where teams almost try to make NBA-style type trades to fit him under the cap. That's how hot a commodity Jadeveon Clowney was this year. Just a third-round pick, and by the way, he was a former first overall pick for the organization. And then there was, right before the season, the acquisition of a left tackle of note, Laramie Tunsil, one of the best in the business, and Kenny Stills on top of it, a weapon. So you do provide protection for your quarterback and also a weapon for your quarterback. Great move. Only problem was they did it right before the season and also did it without signing Laramie Tunsil to a long-term deal prior to it. Did cost him a 3-year, $66 million deal, 50 of which is guaranteed, most for an offensive lineman. You say, it's not a lot of money. It's also not a lot of years. And they gave up 2 1s and a 2.
Pricey.
Yeah. So there's that. And then the mother of all trades on this sheet is dealing away DeAndre Hopkins at age 27, 3-time All-Pro player, leading your franchise in catches and yards for 6 of the 7 previous years at age 27. You trade him for David Johnson, who hasn't had a solid season since 2016 because of a bunch of injuries, and you take on all of his salary as well. $11 million this year, $2 million of $9 million next year because of a roster bonus this year. You take on all of that salary because you don't want to pay that to DeAndre Hopkins. And you don't get a first-round back also, just a 2. In case you're wondering, Brandon Cooks has been traded twice for first-round picks. Twice for first-round picks. And the only time he hasn't been acquired for a first-round pick is when Bill OBrien acquired him from the Rams for a second-round pick, taking on the rest of his deal, $81 million deal that runs through 2024. And you trade away only a second-round pick for that guy in a draft where it's chock full of young wide receivers who don't cost that much money. And you put it all together as DeAndre Hopkins currently has more catches for Arizona this season than every other receiver that Deshaun Watson is throwing to as a starter combined. He is the league leader in receptions, DeAndre Hopkins. And you're 0-4 yourself and don't have your first and second round selection in next year's draft. That'll get you got in the National Football League. And it got Bill OBrien yesterday. We'll see where it leads for him. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.